Welcome to Garden City Church, a place where you can belong before you believe. This week, George talks to us about prayer through Psalm 23. If you'd like to partner with us here at the channel, there's 3 ways you can do that. You can like and subscribe, you can share this video with a friend, or you can partner with us financially. You can do that through our website, or you can mail us a check. We love you guys so much. Let's get into the Word with George.
Whenever pressure goes up, peace often goes down. Whenever pressure is up, our sense of perspective can shrink and go down. And sadly, for many Christians, many human beings who follow Jesus, when pressure goes up, prayer begins to go down. And I know in my life, when I'm under pressure, I'm feeling tension. I want my first impulse to be to turn to God in prayer. But oftentimes I start turning to problem solving, possibility finding, rather than turning to prayer. We're in a time where there's a lot of pressure in our world, a lot of angst, a lot of tensions, a lot of anxiety. There's a leadership transition happening in our country that causes pressure and tension. There's a lot of things happening in the world news that cause pressure and tension. And my hope is in this time that we would practice prayer in a way that opens our hearts, makes our hearts bigger, opens our mind, our perspective, and makes our perspective bigger. Because I think what breathing is to the body, prayer is to our soul. Like, we need the oxygen of God in our lives. And prayer is that breathing mechanism that helps us have peace, have perspective in times of pressure. So today we're going to be looking at Psalm 23 as a prayer practice. I want to give this as a devotional practice as a church. This is something we can individually do together. And here's the practice. Simply look at Psalm 23. It's a short psalm. It's not like a bunch of pages like Psalm 100 and something. It's a small but really powerful psalm that was written by King David. And this psalm is very simple to read, but it's not always easy to live. I think it calls us up to a higher version of ourselves, and it calls us up to view God with a higher vision for who He is. So we're going to be looking at a prayer practice as a community. This is something we can do individually, but we can do this together as individuals, and that's reading through Psalm 23. In fact, it would be better said, praying through Psalm 23. This is a short, very powerful psalm that we can read and pray through as we're reading it. Just read it one time a day, whether it's in the morning, you're a morning person, just get out Psalm 23, the short but very powerful psalm. Pray through it. If you're not a morning person, do it in the afternoon. If you're not an afternoon person, do it at night if you're a night owl like me. But take some time to begin building the breathing posture, like that spiritual breathing practice of prayer. Let's read through this, and then I'm going to just break down the first few verses in a devotional way to kind of give us an idea of how we can pray this in our life. Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd. I lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He refreshes my soul. He guides me along the paths, the right paths, for His name's sake. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for You are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me, and You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely Your goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Oh, I love this psalm. And I love how it starts. As I kind of go through just a few verses to kind of practice maybe praying or looking at this contemplatively, I want to lift up a thinker, a philosopher, a theologian named Dallas Willard. He wrote a book called Life Without Lack. And this teaching series that we're going into takes a lot of inspiration from that book he wrote. It's an incredible book, and it's based on Psalm 23. And the beginning of the prayer starts, The Lord is my shepherd. And Dallas Willard, he had a great way at making complex things simple, usually. And one of the things he really emphasized for spiritual growth is just knowing and understanding the power of our minds. He talked about the mind being one of the most important aspects of our humanity, because our mind it really is what we put our focus on, our consciousness on. So what we are aware of, what we're conscious of, what we put our mind on, it's almost like a lens. What we focus on, we follow. As our mind goes, as our mind focuses, so our life follows. And so he talked about the reality that when we can put our mind on God and the goodness and the love and the mercy of God, it like puts life in perspective, and it helps us grow, because God, like our minds are always catching up to the immensity of the goodness of God. Dallas had this quote when he talked about God, and especially God being a shepherd, one who cares about us. He said this: "A joyous God fills the universe." Oh, that's so powerful. I'm just going to stop there for a second. A joyous God fills the universe. When you think of God, what do you think about? Do you think of a joyous God? Some of us may have experiences with life or family or work where like there's been some unfortunate ways of thinking about God that have seeped into our heart and mind. And maybe we think about God and he's not joyous. He's angry, or he's judging or condemning, or we think of maybe just like uncaring. I've heard people say he's the great unblinking stare, like this God who's kind of uncaring and numb to the universe. But Dallas reminds us that God is our shepherd. Psalm 23 reminds us God is our shepherd, and God is a joyous God. So Dallas reminds us a joyous God fills the universe. Joy is the ultimate describing God and his world. Creation was an act of joy, of delight in the goodness of what was done. It is precisely because God is like this, and because we can know that he is like this, that a life full of contentment is possible. This idea that there's a God of abundance, of joy, of creativity, of goodwill, of wonder. This reality, if we allow our minds to focus on it and to remember it, it just puts everything in context, everything into its place. And Dallas says it's because of this we can actually live a life of contentment. We can believe and know that contentment and trust, of okayness, that this is possible. Do you think a life of contentment is possible? In a world that so often sees scarcity, God brings provision. He provides. When we begin reading this Psalm 23, God is our shepherd. This means there is a God who cares for you and me. He's going to take care of us. And the next verse says, I lack nothing. And as you begin to pray through God being your shepherd, the one who cares completely for you, he takes care of you and you lack nothing. When I pray this, I think of the idea and pray through the idea of God providing what I need for my life. God, would you help me see that you've provided for me? Would you help me look back on my life and areas and moments where you've provided when I didn't know you were going to provide, or it didn't look like there was provision? Would you help me remember that there is a good shepherd who is providing for my needs? With the people in my life, the relationship, the resources, like it might not always be what I want, but it's what I need. I have a God who doesn't like make me live with the lack of what I need. He provides for me. God's that good. So easy in our world to focus on, again, the scarcity, the lack, rather than looking for the abundance, looking for the provision. And I would encourage you, as you're praying this and you're feeling maybe a lack in your life or a lack of contentment, God, help me to live in contentment. Help me to see how you are caring for me. You are the good shepherd. Now, the next verse says, he makes me lie down in green pastures. And I love this verse because it turns our hearts to praying for just the reality that God fulfills my hunger, the desires, the hungers, that we have. God fulfills that. He takes care of us. He knows that we have hungers. He knows that we have needs. And I love this verse in particular because this is like the idea that God is the shepherd and we're the sheep. And when do sheep lay down in green pastures? Like if we're the sheep that God is leading and caring for, when do sheep lay down? Well, one, it's when they feel safe. They don't feel like they have to guard themselves and be, like vigilant. They have a sense of unguardedness because they're safe. The second thing, which is my favorite, is sheep usually lay down once their bellies are full. So they've eaten, like they've had their hunger satiated. And I don't know about you, but I love to eat. My family loves to eat. There's nothing better than coming home, on a Sunday after church and the kids are playing. And there's all kinds of noises and I eat some really good food and the smell of meat is in the house and there's football on and I'm listening to one of the commentators and I'm watching and I just slowly go to sleep. I feel safe because there's voices, there's the smell of meat, I'm full, and there's football. It's awesome. When we think about God, is he someone who leads us to a place that takes care of our hunger? It's a place that we can lie down, that we can rest. The next verse actually steps more deeply into this. It says, he leads me beside quiet waters. And I love this because this brings me to a place in prayer and meditation on the reality that God moves me to quiet places where I can receive. Sometimes I think of water, I think of, whitewater rafting and being in rapids and, so much of life is just rapids and there's all these things going on. There's all these fears that we can have and we've got to worry about the next thing. We got to worry about surviving the rapids. Sometimes we get so into the rapids and we never take time to be in some calm waters that we get addicted to the rapids. We get addicted to the adrenaline, to the what's next and the survival. And we don't even want to think about what's going on more deeply in our hearts. We don't want to plumb the depths of our own soul. We don't want to slow down because then we have to think about the anxiety. We have to think about the fears and the things that are depressing us. And I don't want to think about that. So I just want to stay in the rapids. But God knows what we need. And he leads us beside still waters, the quiet waters, where we can quiet our souls, where we can think about things that matter, where we can, again, be safe. And it's a place where it's quiet and we can receive, like we can drink water. Like for the sheep, when we need water, we need something to slake our thirst. God provides that. It's safe, it's secure, and we can receive. Sometimes we get so busy in life and we're working so hard that we don't receive and we're not having intake into our life that's healthy and good and life-giving. And God is the shepherd who leads us through those rapids to some quiet waters. When I think of quiet waters, I also think of where are the quiet waters in my life? Who are the people who are quiet waters for me? Like I can just be myself and give and receive and kind of just slow life down, bring down the RPMs. Where are the places? For me, it's like at the ocean or at a lake or sometimes out in nature. And there's certain people, family and friends. And sometimes I'll even meet people that I don't even know super well, but there'll be a resonance. Like there's some deep waters to them. And when I slow down, we can actually become quiet waters for each other in an unexpected way. And I'm learning as I get older to pay attention to those people who can be kind of soul friends out of nowhere. But where are the quiet waters in your life where you can slow down and receive? Last little verse I want to focus on, kind of in a meditative, prayerful way, is he refreshes my soul. He refreshes my soul. I'm going to lean on Dallas Willard again. He writes about this verse. He says, the broken depths of my soul are healed and reintegrated in a life in union with God, like connected with God. And it's the eternal kind of life. And I just love that this verse brings us back to humans have souls. There's something so beautiful and broken about humanity, and our souls in this world can get so, sometimes twisted and warped and wounded. And when we allow the shepherd and we focus on the goodness of the shepherd, that God isn't just far away and uncaring or angry and judging, that he's close and he's loving and he's good and he's with us through every twist and turn. He's actually, for paying attention, leading us. And when we do that, our souls can be refreshed, can be healed. And that's a longing I think many of us have, but sometimes it's a longing and it's a hope that we defer because we feel like that's not really going to happen. It's too good to be true. I'm telling you, in the midst of the rapids, in the middle of like seasons where it just feels like you're lacking everything you need, you have a God who is with you, who's going to provide you maybe not all the things that you want or all the things that the world says you need, but what you really need. And he can refresh and heal your soul. My hope in this series is that we can just turn up the heat with prayer in our lives, that we can begin breathing in and out again through the practice of prayer and build our hearts and build our lives more strongly in the truth of God's goodness. And so I want to encourage you, even if you do that just once this week, prayerfully read through Psalm 23 and see what God will do. See how he'll open your heart, open your mind, begin maybe refreshing your soul in some new ways that you've really needed. And one question I think is really important to ask as you're reading through this is, how can I live in the presence of the shepherd throughout the whole day? Guys, I love you so much. Let's pray together.
When I'm scared see it.